A rugged wall, tens of meters high, stood before me, yet I could scale it with incredible speed. My advantage came from my agile memory parkour, allowing me to move freely regardless of the terrain. Earlier, the leader monster had discovered the hiding students and immediately launched a fierce attack. Thankfully, Chai Na-yoon and the others reacted quickly enough to narrowly escape. However, due to the monster's massive attack range, 2 students were accidentally knocked unconscious. In an instant, the 3 teams were scattered. Because Chai Na-yoon was carrying Sven, the 2 ended up falling to one side, crashing to the ground. Chai Na-yoon couldn't stop coughing. When she finally recovered enough to look around, she was shocked to see the molten rock monster approaching her. The creature in front of her was completely different from the puppet the instructors had described. It was a real dangerous monster. Chai Na-yoon realized, for the first time, that she might actually die during a training session. Just as the leader monster's scorching molten flames were about to erupt, a bullet imbued with chilling energy suddenly fired, striking the monster squarely in the neck. Ice seeped into its body, and it froze temporarily. Chai Na-yoon stood dumbfounded for a moment behind the molten rock monster. The shooter was none other than me, arriving just in time. A few minutes earlier, when our Team 8 pressed forward, we encountered a dead end. A towering stone wall blocked the path. Gil-dung angrily asked me, "Wasn't this supposed to lead to the leader monster?" I was equally puzzled, because when I had just used clairvoyance, the wall hadn't been there. Still, I confidently told him the leader was right behind it and suggested Gil-dung try breaking the wall. Although frustrated, he struck the wall with all his might, hoping for a quick exit and a good result. The outcome was obvious. The recoil was so powerful that his hands went numb. Even with magical power added to his attack, it was ineffective. The wall was incredibly solid. At the critical moment, Yeowol suddenly shouted to everyone. At the top of the wall, there was a narrow gap. I pointed it out, suggesting we could slip through, but the wall was over 10 meters high. Gyeol-dung complained that it was impossible, yet I took the lead to attempt it, knowing that the situation on the other side might be worse. Using my winged parkour, the jagged wall felt like flat ground under my feet. Back to the present. The ice on the monster was slowly melting, just seconds after it had been frozen. I hadn't expected it to recover so quickly, so I shouted to Chai Na-yoon to stay alert. The monster, now in pain, had shifted its target to me. Fortunately, 2 attacks struck, interrupting the molten rock monster's actions. Support came from the previously scattered members of Team 3. Seeing their arrival, Chai Na-yoon regained her composure, quickly raising her bow and beginning to draw it, giving her teammates time to act. The other students fought fiercely. Unexpectedly, Sven, despite being poisoned, reappeared and even successfully wounded the leader class molten rock monster. With some teamwork, the monster couldn't stop Chai Na-yoon from charging her ultimate attack. Finally, her move reached full power. No longer weak like before, Chai Na-yoon's sword radiated terrifying energy. The next moment, the molten rock monster's head was completely shattered. With a barrage of attacks and this fatal strike, the monster was finally dead. The students couldn't believe it. They had defeated a true leader class monster. After the battle, Chai Na-yoon waved to check if anyone was injured, while Sven praised her for defeating such a formidable opponent. Yet, Sven's condition surprised me greatly. Sven didn't have a demon flower, yet I understood. He'd already made a contract with a demon. Exposure was only a matter of time. Watching me sitting alone, Chai Na-yoon slowly approached. Looking unusually shy, she said, "No matter what happened before, thank you for saving me." I was taken aback by the current Chai Na-yoon. For a moment, I couldn't even react. Seeing my shocked expression, she immediately turned shy. I hadn't expected her to apologize. On her 6th birthday, Chai Na-yoon had witnessed her mother die at the hands of a demon. Around that time, she resolved to become a hero and began training relentlessly. Her childhood experiences made it hard for her to form close friendships. She refused to show others her vulnerable side and always acted strong and stoic. As a result, very few people had ever heard Chai Na-yoon sincerely say thank you. She had almost no real friends. When she spoke, it was usually more along the lines of, "I'm sorry." This was part of the character background I had written for her. To avoid an awkward silence, Chai Na-yoon initiated a conversation. She wanted to know why, despite my strength, I allowed Shim Jong-hyuk and the others to bully me. When I admitted I really couldn't beat them, Chai Na-yoon was puzzled. The gun I had just used had seemed overwhelmingly powerful. I then took out the Desert Eagle, a homemade weapon, incomparable to the school's training guns. Seeing me dare to use it, Chai Na-yoon quickly checked if anyone was watching. If the school found out, Iron Mail would get suspended. I wasn't worried, because I had discovered a way to hide weapons in the stigmata. Even if searched, no one could find them. Despite the unusual weapon, Chai Na-yoon still recognized my strength. She then speculated that I might have talent for weapon enhancement. When I didn't respond, she nodded knowingly and assured me she wouldn't tell anyone about my homemade gun. But halfway down the path, she suddenly stopped and asked, "Don't you have anything else to say to me?" I understood what she meant, but I simply said no. If I apologized now, Chai Na-yun would surely forgive me for insulting her brother, but I couldn't do that. It was better to remain the annoying person by her side. Perhaps, when that day came, she would feel a little better. After all, losing a brother at the hands of a friend would likely shatter her completely. Seeing Chai Na-yun return, the others were curious if she was close to Kim Ha-jin, which slightly unsettled Sven. Not long after resting, an announcement instructed students to stop the raid and quickly evacuate the dungeon. From the start of this training, several dungeon cameras had malfunctioned. Real monsters had appeared, but they weren't detected in time. Fortunately, no one was harmed, so the magic cube chose to compensate and reassure the students rather than conduct a full investigation. In other words, the demons in high positions successfully covered up this incident. In the original storyline, a full investigation into this event wouldn't occur until the second story arc concluded. Now my focus needed to be on Sven. A demon contract amplified his emotions and obsessions. If Sven had another chance to be alone with Chai Na-yun, he might lose control due to heightened emotions. To prevent this, I decided to use the computer to track their movements. I began checking Chai Na-yun's chats. Everything with others seemed normal, but soon I found a crucial piece of information. Chai Na-yun and Sven's shared hunting club would be traveling to the giant province this week. In the original novel, it was during this activity that Sven made his contract and lost control. But now, the contract had already happened. I decided to follow them this week. Just after making this decision, my watch notified me of a message. To my surprise, the caller was Kim Suho. He asked if I was free on Friday and mentioned he needed my help with something.